Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive.
From AI-inspired insights from farmers.
If you're enjoying what we're doing here, we'd love to hear from you too.
Absolutely.
Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely leave a comment telling us what you want to see more of on this deep dive.
We're always looking for new ideas, and we really value your feedback.
So what farm-related mysteries are you dying to uncover?
Right.
What questions are keeping you up at night? Let us know, and maybe we'll tackle them in a future deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really key if you're starting in farming. Getting hold of machinery without, that huge price tag for brand new equipment.
Absolutely. It's a big hurdle for new entrants.
And if you're just getting into agriculture or thinking about it, understanding the used market, well, it can save you a lot of money.
It really can. And the used farm machinery scene, particularly in the UK right now, it's buzzing.
Is that right?
Yeah, Farmers Weekly actually reported recently that new machine sales have dipped a bit.
Oh, interesting. Why is that?
Well, a lot of it seems to be down to Brexit uncertainty, making farmers maybe a bit wary of big new investments.
Ah, okay. So that means...
It means there's fierce competition for good quality secondhand kit. Demand is definitely up.
Right. And just to give folks a sense of the scale here,
Yeah.
think about auction houses like Sheffins.
Big players.
In 2020 alone, they shifted something like 6,000 items.
Wow.
Yeah, total value over 10 million pounds. That tells you how much machinery is changing hands.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? Huge volume, huge value.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, what we want to do is explore some different ways, different strategies, really,
Right.
that new farmers can use to find and buy used machinery.
We're thinking of them as sort of different lives a piece of equipment might have.
Yeah, I like that. Different lives, and how you can step into that machine's story, basically.
Precisely. How you can make its journey work for your farm's needs.
Okay, so we've mapped out 5 main lives we're going to walk through.
We have. First, the trade-in turnaround,
Then, the restoration revival.
followed by the rental rotation.
The export exodus is number 4.
And finally, the spare parts sanctuary. Each one's a distinct approach.
Definitely. And because auctions, both online and the traditional kind, are such a big part of this,
They really are, increasingly so.
we've got a bonus insight for you, too, on how to get good at bidding in both environments.
Yeah, mastering that can make a real difference.
Okay, let's jump into the first one then. Life number 1, the trade-in turnaround.
Right. So the basic idea here is you're looking at used machinery that's probably been traded in at a dealership.
Or maybe sold at auction after the previous owner upgraded.
Exactly. Someone's bought new, and this is their old machine.
What's the appeal of this route?
Well, the big thing is you can potentially find pretty recent models this way.
Ah, so not ancient history.
No, often it's kit that's maybe only a few years old. It was part of a dealer's stock, traded in for the very latest thing.
That sounds like a real plus if you're just starting. Less initial wear and tear, maybe?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
But what are the key things you absolutely have to check with this strategy?
Okay, first up, safety and legal compliance. That's fundamental.
Absolutely critical. Does it meet the standards for where you are? You need to check that.
Beyond just looking it over, are there specific things like paperwork?
Yeah, look for things like compliance stickers, maybe a CE mark if that's relevant. If something like that is missing, it's not just a safety worry. It could cause legal headaches later.
Good point. And if you're not sure?
Honestly, if you're not confident assessing it yourself, get an inspector. It's money well spent.
Right. Avoid those future problems. What about the machine's past life? How do you dig into that?
Documentation is everything here. You need to get your hands on maintenance logs, any inspection reports, work orders.
Basically, the machine's diary.
Pretty much. It tells you how well it's been looked after. Good records can save you a lot of trouble down the line.
And what are you looking for in those records? Just that something was done?
Well, you want to see consistency. Regular servicing, following the recommended schedule. Also, details of any big repairs are important to know about.
Okay, makes sense. So let's say you're there looking at the machine. Trade-in scenario. What specific wear points need a close look?
Right, definitely check the tires carefully. Cuts, bulges, uneven wear. Replacing tires is a big cost.
Okay, tires. What else?
Articulation points, the main joints on tractors or loaders where they pivot.
The bendy bits.
Exactly. If there's a lot of play or looseness there, that suggests heavy use, maybe costly repairs coming.
Anything else? Maybe inside the cab?
Yeah, check the cab. Loads of dirt and mud packed in might suggest it hasn't been cared for brilliantly.
Yeah.
But, Farmers Weekly did point out
What's that?
Even machines with, say, 5,000 hours on the clock can still be really good buys if they've had proper, consistent maintenance.
That's good to know. So high hours aren't automatically bad.
Not necessarily, no. Maintenance is key.
And this whole trade-in turnaround thing feels like it really applies to auctions too, right? Where you have to decide quickly.
Absolutely. Auctions move fast. Knowing what to look for on these relatively newer used machines helps you make smart bids without spending hours inspecting.
Okay, let's switch gears to life number 2, the restoration revival.
Right, this one's quite different.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more for someone who's pretty handy with a wrench.
Exactly. This is about buying older kit, maybe even stuff that's not running at all,
Right.
with the specific plan to fix it up, restore it, and get it working again.
Okay, where do you even find machines like that? Are they at regular auctions too?
Sometimes, but often you'll find them through online classifieds, think Craigslist, that sort of thing.
Right.
And also, don't discount social media. Facebook farming groups, for instance.
Really? People sell tractors on Facebook.
They do. You can find specific bits of kit. Sometimes people are just selling them for parts or as a project.
Interesting. I always think of Facebook Marketplace for, like, old chairs, not tractors.
Yeah, it's broader than you might think. But there's a caveat with those online private listings.
Which is?
You need to be extra careful. There's maybe less vetting than a proper auction house,
So, more risk involved?
potentially. Definitely talk to the seller, ask lots of questions, and crucially, never pay before you've seen it in person.
The old sight unseen danger, especially if a price looks amazing.
Exactly. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Go and check it out yourself.
Good advice. You mentioned social media groups being useful beyond just finding the machine, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you've got your project tractor or whatever it is, those same online groups can be gold mines for advice. Getting maintenance tips, finding rare parts, connecting with people who fixed up the same model.
Ah, like a community knowledge base.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
very collaborative. People often share advice freely.
That sounds really helpful. And you can find these restoration candidates at auctions, too, presumably.
Oh, definitely. If you look at sites like Auction Time, you'll sometimes see listings that explicitly say things like motor stuck or non-runner.
Right. Advertised problems.
Those are clear signals. It's a project for someone with the skills and the patience.
And I guess one massive factor before you jump into a restoration project is parts.
Huge factor.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical. Before you even think about buying an older machine to restore,
You need to know.
can you actually get the parts you'll need? How much will they cost? Do that research first.
Because if you can't find a vital component,
Your project grinds to a halt. It can turn into a very expensive, very frustrating garden ornament.
okay, point taken. Let's move to life number 3, the rental rotation.
Right. This is a different angle again. More short-term, maybe medium-term thinking.
So not buying at all initially.
Exactly. It's about using rental services for your machinery needs. Especially useful when you're just starting out.
Or maybe for jobs you only do occasionally, like specialist equipment.
Precisely. If you only need a specific machine once or twice a year, renting makes a lot of sense.
Are there big companies doing farm machinery rentals?
Oh, yes. There are quite a few. You see brands like Rental Yard, for example, which is actually part of Sandhills Global.
Ah, the same people behind Auction Time.
That's right. It shows rentals are a significant part of the overall agricultural equipment picture.
So for a new farmer, what's the big win with renting?
Well, the main advantage is getting hands-on experience with different machines without that massive upfront cost of buying.
Ah, like a try before you buy, but for real work.
Exactly. You can test out different models, different sizes, see what actually works for your land and your tasks before you commit serious capital.
That seems really smart. You'd get a much better idea of exactly what you need long term.
You would. It helps you figure out your specific requirements and preferences based on actual use.
Lower risk too, I suppose.
Much lower risk. Plus, you avoid the immediate headaches of maintenance, storage, insurance, depreciation. All that comes with ownership. Renting simplifies things initially.
Okay, that's clear. Now for life number 4, which sounds a bit adventurous. The export exodus.
Yeah. This one involves looking further afield, sourcing used machinery from other regions, maybe even other countries.
So using the internet to cast a wider net.
That's the idea. The web makes it possible to find equipment way beyond your local area. You're not limited geographically anymore.
Which could mean more choice, potentially better prices sometime.
Could do, yeah. But there are definitely some unique challenges you need to be aware of.
Okay, like what?
Well, one big one is terminology. What things are called can vary a lot, region by region.
Give me an example.
Okay, take a skid steer loader. In some places, everyone just calls it a bobcat after the brand.
Right.
Elsewhere, they might just say skid steer or use the abbreviation SSL, or even call it a skidder, though that usually means something else in forestry. You need to know the local lingo.
That could make searching online tricky if you don't use the right words.
It really can. And it's not just different names, even small spelling things like disc versus disc for implements.
Oh,
Or think about all-wheel drive on tractors. You might see MFWA, FWA, MFD, MFWD.
wow, alphabet soup.
Exactly. But they all basically mean the same thing, four-wheel drive, so using a range of search terms is important.
Okay, so terminology hurdles. Given that and the distance involved, what's the absolute golden rule here?
Never, ever by sight unseen,
Just flat out don't do it.
especially not internationally. The risk of the machine's actual condition not matching the description is just too high.
Plus all the logistics of getting it shipped.
Precisely. Transport, import duties, taxes, potential damage in transit. It adds complexity and cost.
So if you are tempted by something overseas,
You need extreme due diligence. Talk extensively with the seller, get tons of photos and videos, and ideally, hire an independent inspector in that country to check it out for you before any money changes hands.
right, treat it with extra caution.
Loads of extra caution. Factor in all the extra costs to shipping, taxes, inspection fees. They can add up fast.
Okay, let's move to our fifth and final life, the spare parts sanctuary.
Right. This one's more of a long-term maintenance play.
So not about getting a working machine initially.
Not necessarily. It's about buying older, maybe non-functional, or partly broken machines, mainly for their usable parts.
Like building your own parts inventory.
Exactly. You create a source of spares to keep your other working equipment going. This is especially useful if you run older or less common models where new parts are getting hard to find or really expensive.
So you're looking at those auction time listings again, the ones with problems?
Yeah, like that tractor with the missing front drive shaft or the non-running engine.
But instead of thinking restoration project,
You're thinking, okay, the engine's shot, but maybe the gearbox is good, or the hydraulics, or the wheels. You salvage the valuable, compatible components.
that sounds like it could be incredibly cost-effective for repairs down the line.
It really can be. Big savings compared to buying new parts all the time, if you have the space and the know-how.
But I guess you still need to be careful what you buy.
Oh, absolutely. You need to assess the condition of the parts on the donor machine. Buying a wreck just to find its key components are also wrecked doesn't help.
Right. Check compatibility too.
Crucial. Make sure the parts will actually fit your working machines. And think about storage. A couple old tractors take up space.
Practical point. Okay, that covers the 5 lives. Now for that bonus insight, getting good at bidding online and in person.
Yeah, this is super relevant now. Online auctions, especially timed ones, have really taken off.
We're seeing that everywhere, right?
Yeah.
The big auction houses are pushing their online platforms hard.
They are. Ritchie Bros, Sheffens, Auction Time. They all have robust online systems.
So for someone new to this, how does a typical timed online auction work?
Okay, usually bidding opens maybe days, even a week, before the auction's scheduled closing time.
So you get plenty of time to look and think.
Exactly. You can browse the lots, look at pictures, read descriptions, and place your bids well in advance.
And they often have that feature, what's it called, where bidding extends if someone bids right at the end.
Right, the auto-extend or anti-sniping feature. If a bid comes in during the last few minutes, the clock resets for another short period, maybe 2 or 5 minutes.
To stop people sneaking in at the absolute last second.
Yeah, it makes it fairer, gives everyone a chance to respond, mimics a live auction dynamic, really.
What are the big advantages for buyers doing it online?
Convenience is massive. You can bid from anywhere, anytime the auction's open, no travel, no taking a whole day off.
It's around your schedule.
Totally. And you can research and bid at your own pace.
But you often can't physically see the machine. So what information online is most important?
Good, clear photos are essential. Lots of them, from all angles. Detailed descriptions to specs, hours, any known faults.
Videos, maybe.
Yeah, videos of it running are great if they have them. And don't be afraid to contact the auction house and ask specific questions if something isn't clear.
Okay. And apparently, even local people sometimes bid online instead of going in person.
Yeah, that happens a fair bit. Again, convenience is a big part of it. Saves time.
Anything else?
Some people just prefer the anonymity. Maybe you feel less pressure bidding online than in a live crowd.
Makes sense. Now, technically speaking, what's absolutely crucial for online bidding?
A good, stable internet connection. Seriously. The last thing you want is your connection dropping just as you're trying to place the winning bid.
Oh yeah, nightmare scenario. What about that pre-bidding phase you mentioned? Does lots of early bidding tell you anything?
It can give you a clue, yeah. Lots of bids early on might signal strong interest and maybe a higher final price.
But not always.
Not always a guarantee, but it's an indicator of potential competition.
So whether you're bidding online or planning to go in person, is it still worth trying to see the equipment beforehand, if possible?
Oh, 100%. If there's a preview day for an online auction, or obviously at a live auction site, go and look.
Why is that still so important?
Because photos and descriptions only tell you so much. Seeing it yourself lets you check for hidden damage, assess the real condition, maybe spot things that'll need fixing soon. You can estimate those potential costs better.
Right, get a proper feel for it. And before you even think about placing a bid, finance.
Absolutely essential. Get your financing sorted before the auction.
Yeah.
Know your maximum budget. Have the funds ready.
Don't get carried away.
Exactly. It's easy to do in the excitement. Stick to your limit.
Now, something maybe less obvious but really important. Insurance at auctions.
Yes. Crucial point, this one. And easily missed.
What's the deal?
Generally, as soon as that hammer falls and you've won the bid, the machine is legally yours. Ownership transfers instantly.
Right then and there, even if you haven't paid yet or picked it up.
Often, yes. Which means insurance becomes your responsibility immediately.
Wow. Even if it's like a Saturday afternoon.
Exactly. Even if your insurance broker's office is closed. So you absolutely must have insurance arranged before you bid.
That's a huge heads up. Driving uninsured machinery off-site? Big risk.
Massive risk. So make sure it's covered under your farm policy or get temporary cover lined up beforehand, especially if you plan to transport it yourself right away.
Okay, super important. And finally, for people actually at a live in-person auction, any last tips?
Stay cool. Don't get swept up in the adrenaline of the crowd and the fast pace.
Easier said than done sometimes.
It is. But have your maximum bid decided beforehand for each item. Write it down if you need to and stick to it, no matter what.
Discipline.
Discipline is key. And pay attention to the auctioneer, the increments, make sure you know what you're bidding.
Excellent advice. Okay, this has been really insightful for navigating that used machinery world.
Hopefully useful.
So just to wrap up, we've looked at those 5 different lives or paths for getting used farm kit.
That's right. The trade-in turnaround for newer stuff. The restoration revival for project lovers.
The rental rotation for flexibility, the export exodus for wider searching.
And the spare parts sanctuary for long-term maintenance. Each one offers different things for new farmers.
Yeah, different strategies, different pros and cons depending on your situation.
Exactly. But the common thread through all of them is doing your homework.
Research, inspection.
Understanding the market, whether you're clicking online or standing in a field at an auction.
Absolutely. You need to think about your own needs, your budget, your skills.
Your tolerance for risk, too. Then decide which path, or maybe even a mix of paths, works best for how you want to build your farm.
Right. So here's something to think about as we finish. With this used machinery market being so dynamic, so full of options, which of these lives really clicks with your vision for getting your farm up and running or taking it to the next level?
Good question to ponder.
We definitely encourage you to check out some of the resources we touched on: Farmers Weekly, Chef-Ins, Richie Bros, Auction Time. University extension sites often have great articles too for digging deeper into all this. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this exploration has been valuable. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Hitting that like button and smash that subscribe.